Okay, everybody, please stand. This time, I would like to take a moment and remind our residents that as we all navigate these uncertain times, the officials and employees of our borough are here to help wherever possible, help maintain our quality of life. And may we salute the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. And may we call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Samuelson.
Yes.
Councilman Zellner.
Yes.
Council President Duffy.
Here.
Here.
Councilman Grotzky.
Here.
Councilman Seymour.
Here.
Councilwoman Grant.
Here.
And Mayor Pacino is not here tonight.
Can you imagine that?
Okay.
The first, I think.
Oh, my
Yes.
God. He's got to be jonesing. Absolutely fired up.
Yes.
Everybody's
Okay.
tuned in. Wave hello.
Everyone, yes, good evening, bear with me. Just, haven't done this in a while, so, the man never misses a meeting, so. Anyway, going forward, we have 2 appointments tonight. What?
The statement of compliance with the open.
Oh, first, so sorry, thank you. Okay, if I might then. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and attend any meetings, public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with this act, the mayor and council of the Borough of New Milford have caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, place thereof posted in the Borough Hall, and notices have been sent to the Record and the Ridgewood News. The mission of this governing body is to provide essential services through the establishment and implementation of public policy that will safeguard the infrastructure, provide fair, honest, courteous, and professional services, establish a sense of trust and accomplishment between all residents through research and prudent planning, seek to minimize risks while improving our services. We are sensitive to the needs and satisfaction of our taxpayers while realizing that this governing body cannot be all things to all people within the revenue constraints imposed by state mandates, economic conditions, and prevailing attitudes about taxation. And the fire exits, if I might point them out, they are here to my left and straight ahead into the parking lot. Anything else?
You're right. Ready to rock and roll.
Okay, great. Then we will move on with these 2 appointments. Matthew Reschner for Fire Company 1, Vivian Davis for the Rev 250 Committee. May I get a motion? So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, good evening. Our auditor, Steve Wilcox, is here. May I ask you to step to the podium and give us an overview before we open to the public hearing? Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, well, here we are. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Little less than 4 weeks ago, you introduced your budget for 2025. It's been reviewed by the state. It's been approved for adoption tonight. First, you have to have your public hearing, which looks like it'll be pretty short and sweet. I'll give my brief overview again, just for the record. I'll start with, 2025 has been probably the most difficult year I've seen for municipal governments and budgets and taxes in the 46 years that I'm doing this. Health benefits, pension costs, interest rates, inflationary factors, and in spite of all that, and you had a revaluation to just put the icing on the cake for 2025. Spending's up 3.28%. Handful of drivers, 195,000 for pension costs, 171,520 for health insurance, 133,000 for workers' comp and liability insurance, 81,500 for garbage. The statutory contribution to the library, $98,504. Sewer disposal costs, $58,166. And debt service, $224,000, mainly by virtue of the short-term interest rates, which used to be 0.5% and 1% as short as 18 months ago, are now 4.5%. So, you package that all together. The good news, if there's any good news, what you can control, all the departments, all the services, all the things that you provide to the community, are about $190,000 less than they were last year. So what you can control, you are controlling. What's out of your control, that you're handed a bill for pension, for health insurance, for liability, for workers' comp, you have to pay the bill. You have no control over how much it is. So that is a positive that comes out of this all. The tax impact, now again, we had a reval, so the average residential assessment last year was about $330,000. It is now $643,000. So that average revalued assessment of $643 would see an increase in municipal taxes of $199, which is a little over $15 a month. A little bit more than what we would couch our normal incremental increase has been over the last 4 or 5 years. But considering what's going on in surrounding communities, I would say this is mid to low of what the increases I've seen. I've seen them as high as, well, I've seen them start as high as $800. A neighboring community adopted their budget last week. It was $290 and change. Another one, it was $186. Another one was $377. So it's again, you guys are tough. You do a good job scraping the budget. The administration, the finance committee.
Can I ask you a question, Steve?
Sure.
You said a few minutes ago, you mentioned something like $190,000 less. That number was relevant to what?
Everything else in the budget besides what I mentioned.
So in percentage-wise, what is it basically right now that as a budget committee we can control?
I couldn't tell you off the top of your head.
13%?
It's not a lot, because once you get past salaries, benefits, contractual obligations, the bills you get for pension, garbage, recycling, BCUA, statutory requirement to the library, it's as my grandmother used to say, bupkis.
Well, what do we got working with us? Less than 15%?
If that, probably.
I think it's usually around 12%.
Listen, it's like that. I mean, that's school board, municipality, county, and unfortunately, the outlook is not good, because, the trickle-down impact of what the federal government is doing to state governments will directly impact local governments. The prime example is DOT money. Well, it starts at the federal level, comes to the state. Now, here in New Jersey, they use the gas tax for the DOT trust fund, so there'll always be money, but it's not going to be like it's been. So, there's a lot of uncertainties right now. A lot of the federal programs run on a fiscal year of October 1 to September 30th. So grants that were awarded last calendar year during that new fiscal year are still in force so far. But what's going to happen October 1 of this year for the new federal fiscal year? I mean, I don't think anybody has an answer. So the future doesn't look tremendously promising at this present moment. But, I mean, the people in this town should be, comforted by the fact that this council, this administration, this finance committee beats up the budget. I'm getting these spreadsheets from the administrator, a mile a minute. Well, we change this, we change that. And she prints these little numbers. It's hard for an old guy. Every little numbers. So, but, I mean, this is a good budget, as every budget here has been a good budget over the last, 10, 15 years.
I have a question.
Sure.
In the increasing expenses, you listed the library at $98,000, but that's technically not an extra expense to the borough because it's still the 1/3 of a mill. So
But it is an extra expense because it's an increase from last year's 1/3 of a mill.
But it's because the 1/3 of the mill increased.
It's because we had a revaluation and the value of the town
As
increased.
opposed to the borough giving additional funds over the minimum required from the state.
Correct, but you're still required, again, it's one of those things you can't control. The 1/3 of a mill is a 1/3 of a mill.
Right.
So that goes up $98,000. Whether the library needs the money or not, you have to appropriate that $98,000 in addition to what you gave them last year. It's one of those things you don't have any control over.
I'm just saying, it's almost like in a zero-sum game in a way because it's still the 1/3 of the mill. So it's not like you're taking money out of
It's
the
not.
pocket.
It's not
You're
at all.
taking it out of the taxpayer's pocket.
Of course.
So, and
It's
that-
still $98,000
Yeah,
more.
I guess I'm not asking my question very well. So I apologize.
No, listen, it's $98,000, just like garbage is up 80,000. It's more money that has to be provided in this year's budget for that activity. And it's all part of the tax levy. So, I don't question whether the library needs it, doesn't need it. The issue is you have no choice.
I understand that.
And it's part of-
You're required to give 1/3 of the mill.
And it's part of all of these categories that you have to process sewage.
But depending on the tax rate next year, the number could go down dramatically, because it went up this year because of,
The number, I haven't seen any library number go down in the last 10 years.
because of the.
Because of that, the value of real estate continues to rise.
Exactly.
There's no nexus between the library appropriation and I would call reality, because it's a mandated calculation. Whether they need it, don't need it, whatever the issue is, that number is that number. That's my only point, is you don't have a choice. It's not like recreation. You just say, okay, I'm not going to run this program, I'm going to cut it out. And you cut it out.
But it's also not like increasing the budget for the recreation program.
Yes, it is.
It's the same,
It's exactly
thing.
the
It's all
same.
tax dollars, it's all the same pot.
Yes, it's all the same pot. I do agree with that.
So,
It's exactly the same as raising the budget for the
No, because you
recreation.
don't have to raise the budget for that, and actually, since it's always 1/3 of the mill, depending on what 1/3 of the mill is, it's commensurate or proportional to,
To the valuation, but it doesn't change the amount of money that we collect. We still have to collect enough to cover the expense.
$98,000 out of the taxpayers' pockets.
yes, I'm not disputing that.
Any other questions first? Any other closing comments?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna go home and watch the Yankees.
Well, thank you so much from all of us. We appreciate the job you do, and especially with our budget committee, they did a great job, so thank you.
They're tough. They're
I
tough.
know. That's what we'd expect them to do.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
Good night.
What are you going to say for the rest of the meeting?
Really?
See you later.
Okay, so then we'll go on.
Yes.
Okay. Then now at this time, I would like to entertain a motion to open to the public for a public hearing of the 2025 municipal budget.
Motion.
Second.
No. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Any comments from the public? Seeing that there are none, may I get a motion to close to the public?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Then,
We have to have a motion to open to the public.
on the
On the
first.
adoption of the
Adoption,
ordinance, yes.
okay. So we have an ordinance for adoption tonight. May I have a motion to open to the public?
Do you want me to just
Yes,
summarize
please.
it? Okay. Calendar year 2025 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriations limit and establish a cap bank. The purpose of the ordinance is to authorize an increase in the annual budget that exceeds the appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank.
Okay. So we need.
It's a
public-
safety net for future years.
Do you just need a?
Motion to open to the public.
Okay. May I get a motion?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? All right, we're open to the public for comments regarding this ordinance 2025:12. Seeing that there are no comments, may I get a motion to close?
Motion to close?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
Now adopt. Motion to adopt.
Okay, may I get a motion to adopt? Thank you.
Second.
Now you want to roll call.
Roll call, please.
Yes. Councilwoman Sanusin.
Yes.
Councilman Zeidler.
Yes.
Council President Duffy.
Yes.
Councilman Grotzky.
Yes.
Councilman Seymour.
Yes.
Councilwoman Grant.
Yes.
And then these two, do you want separate or with the other?
You can ask for a motion to do both, or you can do them separately, either way.
Okay. May I get a motion for 2025, 119 and 120 together
Motion.
for a resolution?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No, roll call.
Sorry,
Yeah.
roll call.
Councilwoman Sanusin.
Yes.
Councilman Zeidler.
Yes.
Council President Duffy.
Yes.
Councilman Grotzky. Councilman Seymour.
Yes.
Councilwoman Grant.
Yes.
And I just want to read those. I did not read that. The 119 is waive the reading in full of the 2024 municipal budget, and 120 is adopt the 2024 municipal budget. Okay, everybody take a deep breath. Okay.
I think you should leave.
No, we will not be reading the budget.
Posted on the borough website.
Check it out on the borough website. Yes. Okay, next we have a public hearing for applications to the Bergen County Trust Fund. Applications to be,
I can give you a summary. There's two applications. The first is for Williams Field, and it's a park development application, and we're requesting grant funds to install new lighting at Williams Field. The installation of outdoor lighting will increase the safety of the area and allow for expanded recreational scheduling. And the second is for the French Burying Ground, and it's a Historic Preservation Trust Fund grant. And we're requesting grant funds to restore grave markers at the French Burying Ground, in addition to completing stabilization activities such as tree trimming and fencing upgrades.
Great. We're going to open to the public then. May I
Yes.
get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, we are now open for discussion regarding these two projects that we are applying for.
I have a
grants.
question,
Yeah,
Council President.
yes, sir.
The one regarding the Williams Field. We had a grant out and we were denied, correct?
We actually applied for 3 separate grants for this project. One was the Green Acres, which is part of my report tonight. I'll be reporting on that. The other is the Local Recreation Improvement Fund through the DCA, which we were denied. And this is the Bergen County Open Space. The project is estimated for $589,000. So we applied, and the Green Acres is a matching grant, so we could only ask for half. Bergen County Open Space is a matching grant, and the local recreation is a smaller grant. So
we've applied for,
3 different grants to try and fund the project.
I got it.
Yes.
That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Okay. Any
Don't
other?
forget.
Yeah, any other questions? Okay.
We're open to the public right now. Do you have any interest in, nope.
I have absolute interest.
No, on this particular topic.
Oh, no.
Okay.
This is something that I have to say, because me and my husband were dragged through the
Okay,
for 1 year.
not now.
Okay, so.
You'll
let
get
me
your
know when.
opportunity. Okay, so
All right.
there's no member of the public that wishes to comment.
Okay, then may I get a
Motion to
motion?
close.
Second.
Do we need
No.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Then
Council, just so you know.
we'll move to unfinished, excuse me. Yeah. You'll have a chance.
All right.
So if you would, let us get through here. Under unfinished business, I have the approval of the minutes from April 7th, closed session and work. May I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
I abstain.
Great. Okay, we have an ordinance for adoption.
Yes.
Do you want me to read this?
I'll read the title, and if you want to read the summary.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay.
Bond ordinance to amend sections 4C and 10 of the bond ordinance number 2022-07 entitled Bond Ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements and the acquisition of new communication and signal systems equipment and new automotive vehicles, including original apparatus and equipment, in by and for the Borough of New Milford in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $950,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds, which was adopted on March 14th, 2022, as previously amended by Ordinance 2022-24, adopted on December 19th, 2022.
Thank you, Christine. So the purpose of this ordinance is to amend Bond Ordinance 2022:7 to include installation of security cameras at the DPW yard as an authorized purpose to make use of funding that has already been allocated but remains unspent. So, may I have a motion?
Motion to adopt?
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, sorry. Motion to open to the public?
Thank you, I'm sorry.
Apologies.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're open to the public to discuss this only. Do you have any comment?
No, I don't, but I think I should have a right to say what I want to say, because you guys are the one that made a decision against me and the zoning board. So I can't go before the zoning board.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Yeah.
You will have 5
I
minutes.
thought you were telling me.
No, this is a different
No, I don't
part.
have interest in this. This is
Okay.
one thing I have to say. Short and sweet.
Okay. At this time, may I get a motion to
close.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Motion
Any-
to adopt?
Second.
May I get a roll call?
Yes. Councilwoman San Houston.
Yes.
Councilman Zalner.
Yes.
Council President Duffy.
Yes.
Councilman Grotzky.
Yes.
Councilman Seymour.
Yes.
Councilwoman Grant.
Yes.
Okay. Then, under new business, we have introduction of 3 ordinances tonight. The first,
Yes, I will read the title.
Christine will read the title for us.
An ordinance to repeal and replace Chapter 25 of the Revised General Ordinances of the Borough of New Milford entitled Flood Prevention and Protection.
Okay. This, okay. So the purpose of this ordinance is to adopt the Model Code Coordinated Ordinance for flood damage prevention as provided by the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. This ordinance was developed by the NJDEP at the direction of Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, to incorporate higher the state standards found in Flood Hazard Area Control Act and the Uniform Construction Code. The ordinance in full is available on the borough website at newmilfordnewjersey.gov, and copies can be obtained free of charge by contacting the borough clerk at 201-967-5044. So,
Motion to introduce this ordinance on the first reading.
okay,
Motion.
Second.
roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Councilwoman San Houston.
Yes.
Councilman Zalner.
Yes.
Council President Duffy.
Yes.
Councilman Grotzky. Yes. Councilman Seymour.
Yes.
Councilwoman Grant.
Yes.
The public hearing for this ordinance is going to be held on May 12th.
May 12th. Okay. Mark your calendars. Okay. Next, we have ordinance 2025-15.
Yes. Bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements and the acquisition of new, additional, or replacement equipment and machinery, new communication and signal systems equipment, and a new automotive vehicle, including original apparatus and equipment, in, by, and for the Borough of New Milford in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $797,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
Okay, so it's great. The purpose of this ordinance, excuse me, authorizes the issuance of a bond for various capital acquisitions and improvements, including a dump truck, road resurfacing, communication equipment, and a fire department rescue boat, and various equipment. Okay.
Motion to introduce on the first.
May I get a motion
Motion
to,
to introduce.
Second.
all in favor?
Roll call.
Roll call.
Councilwoman San Houston.
Yes.
Councilman Zalner.
Yes.
Council President Duffy.
Yes.
Councilman Grotzky. Councilman Seymour.
Yes.
Councilwoman Grant.
Yes.
The public hearing for this is also going to be held on May 12th.
Okay, and the next, 2025:16.
Yes.
Okay.
Capital ordinance of the Borough of New Milford in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, authorizing the making of various public acquisitions and an improvement in, by, and for the borough, appropriating therefore the sum of $24,900, and providing that such sum so appropriated shall be raised from the capital improvement fund of the borough.
Okay, and the purpose of this ordinance is to appropriate funds from the Borough of New Milford Capital Improvement Fund for various acquisitions and improvements for the fire department and the Board of Health.
Motion.
Second.
What's your motion?
Introduce the ordinance.
Thank you.
Second.
May I get a roll call?
Councilwoman Sanusin.
Yes.
Councilman Zalner.
Yes.
Council President Duffy.
Yes.
Councilman Grotzky. Councilman Seymour.
Yes.
Councilwoman Grant.
Yes.
Okay.
And the public hearing for this ordinance will also take place on May 12th.
Okay.
We got through it.
Glad that's over with.
You did a nice job.
Oh, stop.
You did great.
All right, guys. I'm going to move right over to the schedule of updates. Okay. Let's see, this is May, so starting Saturday, May 3rd, New Milford Paper Shredding Event, DPW, and Clean Communities and the BCUA sponsored, 9 to 1 at the Swim Club parking lot. Sunday, May 4th, a walk and talk with Mayor Petrino and council members. That would be Sunday, May 4th and the 18th, sponsored by the Borough of New Milford, the Wellness Campaign, as well as the Bergen County Y here in New Milford. On Saturday, the 10th, ELC 30 Years and Grand Reopening Celebration, Early Learning Center, 10 a.m. at the YMCA. Tuesday, May 13th, Suicide Prevention Symposium, sponsored by Public School District, okay. And NJ 45, 6 to 8:30, New Milford High School Auditorium. Monday, the 26th, our annual Memorial Day Parade. Let's meet at Knightsfield parking lot at 9 a.m. And then Saturday, the 31st, the Music and Arts Committee is sponsoring an event from 2 to 4 at Knightsfield Pavilion. And then lastly, coming from this, Parents and Pals Walking Group, again hosted by the borough, the Mayor's Wellness Campaign, and the YMCA. Parents and Pals Walking Group every Thursday, the month of May, at 11 a.m. Meet at the borough parking lot right up above Kennedy Field. So that's the events.
Just one question on the walk. What time does that start?
I'm sorry, 4 p.m. on Sunday.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay.
And where's that one meeting?
Same place.
Same place?
Same
Okay.
place.
Very good.
Yes. Okay. All right. All right, guess what? It's your
My turn. Okay. Thank you.
Administrator. Thank you.
Yes, I have an engineering update. We are still waiting on the DEP permit for the French Brook Restoration Project. The application has been under review by the DEP since January 23rd. The engineer received comments on the construction documents for the two NJDOT road improvement projects on April 22nd, and the comments are being addressed and the documents will be resubmitted for DOT approval. We're still waiting on the transfer of CAD files from the former engineer on the Main Street Improvement Project. Once received, the current engineer is going to provide an updated estimate for engineering and construction management services for the project. Data collection for the MS4 stormwater infrastructure mapping is underway. Design for the curb ramp for the Milford Avenue County resurfacing project was submitted and approved by the county. A pre-construction meeting for the county resurfacing of River Road from Milford Avenue to Graphic Boulevard was held on April 16th. The project is scheduled to get underway in July, and the borough engineer is preparing a proposal for construction management of this project. In addition to the resurfacing, the county notified the borough of plans to upgrade the storm drains on River Road, and this work will be completed prior to the resurfacing scheduled for July. Regarding the Williamsfield lighting project, the borough received notice from the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection that the Green Acres application for the lighting project has been selected for funding in the amount of $148,000. It's a matching grant, and we are still awaiting notice from Bern County Open Space to see if we will receive additional funding for this project. The work for the electric, I'm sure everybody has seen, the work for the electric vehicle charging stations at the Borough Hall, the library, and Lights Field is underway and at various stages. The cutting card inspection by Public Service at the library is scheduled for tomorrow. Once completed, we would expect that it would be powered within 30 days. PSE&G asked for additional work at Borough Hall, which has been completed and is expected to be inspected this week. Once completed, the trench will be closed and the cutting card inspection can be scheduled for the week of May 5th. The installation at Nice Field requires the installation of an additional pole by Public Service, and they're going to be calling for the markouts this week, and the pole will be installed shortly thereafter, and work will continue on from there. And then the only other thing I have to add is that our next meeting for the Mayor Council is a work session, which is scheduled for Monday, May 12th at 7 p.m. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Next, just if everyone would take a look at the resolutions, just double check, are there any comments, questions, before we move forward?
Council President Duffy, I have a request to add a resolution, Resolution 133. This would be to, I want to check my notes to make sure I say the right words. So the resolution to add the Sustainable Jersey PSE&G Energy Efficiency Partnership Program Outreach grant to be able to appropriate the sum of $5,000. That's a grant we've received. This resolution allows us to include it into our funding budget.
Excellent.
The grant, we're getting $5,000 under the grant? Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
yes.
And we need to have a way to add it to the budget. So we have a motion, and we need a second.
Second.
Thank
All
you.
in favor?
Aye.
That's to add it to the...
That's just to
That's
be
to be able to add it to the budget.
Yes, we'll vote on that later. Next,
I have one question, Lisa. Did you say that the EV station will be ready this week and it'll take 30 days to start it up? Because it doesn't look like at the library anyway that the area is prepared yet.
The borough is managing that. Chris can address that question.
Yeah. That was what was reported to me by the electric vehicle contractor.
Because they still have fencing, that temporary fencing around the area where they're paving in front of the library. So it doesn't seem quite ready.
Well, I can double check, but that was the report from
It was on
Friday.
Saturday, okay.
Yeah.
it looks like that over by Knight's Field as well.
As well,
Yeah,
so
I mean, they must do amazing.
maybe they know
At
something
the
we don't
end.
know.
Yes. No. Okay. Next, we have council committee reports. Let's start, Hetty, if you want to, Councilwoman Grant.
Thank you. Perhaps you recall that Council President Duffy, Councilwoman Sandhusen, and I sent a letter to Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth a few weeks ago, arguing that women should not be eliminated from the Department of Defense website or from the armed forces. And today we received a letter from his office. It's signed by Dr. Timothy Hoyt, H-O-Y-T, and it says he's the acting executive director of Force Resiliency under the Department of Defense. I had not heard of that, but be that as it may, I will post this letter on my Facebook page. It certainly doesn't, as most letters from elected officials seem to always not really address the issues that you've raised. They go all around it and talk about how pleased they are that we're supporting the armed forces, but that wasn't exactly the point of the letter. And of course, they talked about working on meritocracy, which doesn't really seem, in my opinion, to be happening. So I think you've all gotten a copy of this, and I will post it because it's worth reading this. I won't characterize this, but leave it at that. The Milford Arts Committee is moving right along with its event on May 31st. We're on schedule for everything. Among other things, we now have Conrad's ice cream truck, which is coming, and if you come for nothing else, come for the ice cream. It is fabulous. And the acts, the high school, several high school students will be singing several songs from Beauty and the Beast with Beth Fowler, a New Milford resident who is a Broadway star. And she originated the role of Mrs. Potts on Broadway 50 years ago. So she will be performing, and it's a real coup for New Milford, and I'm very excited about that. You should all come, all of you, and everybody out in CD Land. The Library Board of Trustees is continuing to review some of its policies and procedures to update them. Some are relatively new, and some need to be reviewed, as all things need to be reviewed every once in a while. We have received some funds in memory of Nancy Lee. Nancy Lee was a board member for a number of years and was president of the Board of Trustees for several years as well. And she died recently, and so she requested that donations be made in her name to the library. So money has been coming in, and I'm sure we'll find something special to do in her memory. She was a very important member and served for, I wish I knew how many members, but a long time. Years, a long time, right?
Yes.
Yeah, 15, 20 years maybe? Something like that, yeah. We are, as you know, we have museum passes that people can take, which will get them either free or reduced admission to a variety of museums in New Jersey and in New York. And we are looking into software so that you can actually access them online. You don't necessarily have to come into the library for them. That would make life even easier. We are starting a strategic planning force, and local author John Foley will visit the library on May 20th, and you can find out more information on the library's website. And it's not, there are two John Foleys. This is not the one who lives at the north end of town. I know that one, I don't know this one. So, let's see, the Rent Leveling Board met, we swore in a new member. We are going to review the rent leveling ordinance at our next meeting and realize that we actually don't have bylaws, and so we may actually decide to draft bylaws. We will have to take that into consideration. And I didn't raise it, by the way. Yeah. So, I think that's pretty much what I have right now. Okay, that's it for now.
Okay, Councilman Seymour.
Thank you, Council President. Very briefly, I just want to again give thanks to the New Milford Police Department and the New Milford Municipal Alliance System Recovery Committee and everyone else who came together once again to put together a very moving black poster project at the YMCA last week. I was honored to be able to attend such a moving event. I found it very powerful and very moving, and I hope it helps people remember those that we've lost to addiction, as well as support those who are in the middle of their battle to become clean currently. And in addition, our Flood Advisory Committee met recently and was honored and privileged to welcome staff from Congressman Josh Gottheimer's office, as well as Assembly members Lisa Swain and Chris Tully, for the purpose of addressing potential cuts to FEMA and how that may impact our residents who live in our flood zone, as well as to, again, express their unwavering support for our residents and our families. So we're very privileged and honored to welcome them to New Milford and grateful for their ongoing support. And that's my report.
Thank you. Councilman Brodsky.
Thank you, Council President. Last Friday was Arbor Day. We happened to celebrate it on Saturday down at the tree farm. We rededicated the farm to Diane Cardinale. We put up high fencing so deer can't get in. We have about 80 plants down there now. Kudos to the DPW team. They've done a fantastic job on that. And we also had saplings that were handed out at the events. That's my report.
Thank you. Councilman
Thank you, Council President Duffy. This is such an honor to be presenting my committee reports in front of you. I've only had the privilege to do this in front of two other people, Mayor DeBarry and Mayor Petrino, and you, of all people.
What can I say?
It's just, I'm overwhelmed.
All right.
So forgive me if I stutter along the way.
Thank
Because I
you,
know how
Larry.
you like to make things short and sweet.
Thank you.
Me too.
And for
Public events. We have selected Bob Nessoff as our Grand Marshal for the Memorial Day Parade. Bob was in E6 Staff Sergeant with Special Forces. He's also a longtime resident of New Milford and served as a councilman and former Board of Education member. Public Events has received now, a month ago, we only had 26 banners for honoring our veterans up in Mountain River Road for Memorial Day. We now have 40 banners on River Road, which is great. That's phenomenal. So, we also, they've, grabbed some of the volunteers from the high school, to work on Memorial Day, handing out water at ShopRite and at Memorial Day and doing whatever they can. The high school is also making the banner for Grand Marshal and Miss VFW, and the street sign for Bob Nessoff has been ordered. And Public Events is also starting their own Facebook page. So that's something different. And the DPW, well, the construction has been underway for Williams Field. They dug down maybe about 12 inches and removed all clay and earth and whatever they needed to do. And they backfilled it now up to about 4 inches, where the completion will be topsoil, seed, and hopefully they're ready for the fall soccer season. And all the work so far has been done in-house by the DPW and the landscaping crew. Under recreation, all the games are going underway. They had a phenomenal turnout for K through first grade, with over 70 applicants for clinical supervision, and hopefully they can get that same response next year. The Kennedy Field Soccer Board schedule for repair is in the first week of May. Planning Board, there are no applications presently. However, we're still meeting with our planner to discuss our housing element fair share plan obligation. And I believe in the next month, we should be bringing that to a close to bring it to the governing body with a resolution. And those are my reports.
Great, thank you. Councilwoman Sandhusen.
Thank you, Council President. So I would like to add to the events list of dates, April 30th, there will be an information session at the library at 6 p.m. This information session is hosted by the Green Team, and it features information about the Home Energy Assessment Outreach Program. And we will have an expert present, trade ally, Scott Fisher from Steel Power, who will be giving a presentation and available for questions. So this is an important opportunity for 6 p.m.
6 p.m. Thank you.
We'll be seeing PSE&G rate increases coming in June, so this is a really key time to take advantage of home energy efficiency programs and become informed about those. So the home energy efficiency assessment is a free, no obligation assessment. Let's see, you've heard about the Mayor's Wellness Campaign. So May is Miles in May, so we're encouraging everyone to get out and walk. The seniors are having a senior outdoor wellness at Knights Field, and they will be having a senior field day as well. So, and cardio dance. So Friday, May 10th at 10 a.m. is cardio dance at the senior center. Tuesday, May 20th at 10 a.m. is outdoor senior wellness at Knights Field. And let's see, there'll be refreshments at that event. And Tuesday, June 3rd, there'll be an award ceremony. So, and I also wanted to report that I had the opportunity to attend the MIL-GIF annual safety breakfast with some of our borough employees, including Christine. I'm not going to name everyone's name, but it was an honor to attend the breakfast and watch the borough receive their Platinum Award for Safety. So congratulations to the borough for, and there's quite a competition in between the departments, I learned. That was interesting to learn.
We worked very hard to we started at bronze many years ago, but we have platinum 3 years in a row now.
So congratulations to the borough. So that's the borough administrators, the police department, and the DPW.
Awesome.
And that safety award is really important because that's safety, no injuries, loss of days at work. So we have a very healthy staff and very conscientious crew. So thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Just wanted to make sure everyone knew how hard they work.
Excellent, thank you. I will make a short report. Aside from Fire Department, Board of Health, and Historic Commission, which I participated in all those meetings this month, I did attend on Saturday the Arbor Day rededication of the tree farm dedicated to Diane Cardinale. Really wonderful job done by the DPW and the arborist. I also attended the Healthy Kids Day at the Y, and just a shout out to the fire department for attending and showing kids the equipment and taking them out to the trucks. Thank you for them for coming. And then also a meeting of New Milford gardeners, a small group, but I think they'll be okay. So that's my report. Yes.
I forgot to mention, it was a lot of fun to watch New Milford in motion.
Yeah.
And see Councilman Grant, you did a beautiful job, as well as our other performers.
Oh,
It was
yes.
a tremendous performance.
Yes, that's
We had
right.
a great time.
It was amazing.
It's
The
amazing.
seniors.
For those of you who don't know, a group of people participated in Lynn Sullivan's basic Broadway. I forget exactly what the title of it was. It was a Thursday morning class, and we learned some basic Broadway steps because Lynn, that's her forte. That's what she did when she was younger, rockette and all that. And then we gave a performance at the Women's Club 2 weeks ago, I think, or last week. Can't even remember anymore. And it was great fun. We all had a wonderful time. All women, one man, and I must say he was a fabulous. So, and Lynn is fabulous. It was a joy to do.
Eddie, it was great. I also,
My debut.
it was terrific.
And we will be learning tap, I'm understanding.
Wow.
Yes. I'm not sure how well that'll go over.
Wonderful. All right, so, do we, going to open to the public?
Yes. We need a motion.
May I get a motion to
Motion to open the public.
open to the public for comments regarding the Borough of New Milford? We'll give you 5 minutes.
That's all I need.
Thank you.
All right, so let me begin. My name is Connie Vasallo. My husband is Steve Vasallo. We live at 414 Milford Ave on the corner of Hirschfeld. So we, for a year, were waiting for the ordinance to change, thinking that we were going to be allowed to have a 6-foot fence around our yard. The mayor, phenomenal guy, came out to my house. I was amazed, and came into my yard and agreed with everything we said. We live on a very dangerous road. I had a drunk go through my fence at 50 to 60 miles an hour and destroy my fence, which gave you guys an open door to not allow us to get a 6-foot fence again, which is very disappointing. So we were going to go before the zoning board. We were told after all this was said and done, and that ordinance was not changed in our favor, okay? There was only the back of the house. We were so deflated, I can't even describe it to you in words, that now we feel like we are not safe. We have no privacy. We live on a busy county road with an excavating business behind us that we also have to be exposed to. But nobody here came to my house and looked and said, what are we doing here? That's number one. Number two, the fence I had, which was 6 foot around my yard, under the same ordinance, but the man had the sense in his head to come to my house and say, wow, they have 4 small children and animals. This is a dangerous road. And he allowed us, in the front, it's all 4 foot or 3 foot, whatever it is, around the front, not covering my house. The police can get in my house safely, no problem, 21 years. Nothing went on in my yard that nobody should see. It was just for our privacy. And if you look in front of my house, beer bottles, liquor bottles, garbage, the element that I get past my house, you know my area, Hirschfeld, and bad. So what I feel like they did is, we're not going to talk about fence rules because that's not what this is about. This is about a 43-year-old resident and a 55-year resident not being allowed to do something that makes us feel safe and privacy. And the guy across the street changed his address. The builder did it, spent $15,000 to change the address, has the same exact fence that doesn't hinder the police and that doesn't make the town look bad, and it doesn't hinder traffic. Mine for 21 years didn't hinder traffic. But now you all have agreed that you're not going to grandfather me in, and I'm going to tell you what we feel like. This is what we felt like when they explained to us what we had to do to go before the zoning board. We felt extorted, intimidated, and discouraged, which we feel like is the goal of the zoning board. Because I'm not a builder, I'm not trying to build a house, I'm not trying to do anything dangerous, I'm not changing anything, I'm trying to replace something that's already been up for 21 years. But they're going to put me through the mill. I have to tell everybody in the existing Bergen County what I'm doing, which I don't want to do. So we were so deflated, and I have the money. I happen to have a son that's a multi-millionaire in Beverly Hills. But he would help me. But you know what? I am not going to allow them to do this to me. I'll take my $2,000 or $3,000 and I'll get large bushes. But you have to know that we need new counsel. If you can't understand that you have to treat each person individually, you have to look where I live. You're taking a lot from my family by saying I have to go from 6 feet. Now you would not even approve 4 feet in front of my house. Which is, oh, there goes my dollar store glasses. Anyway, whatever.
In your hood.
They wouldn't even approve 4 feet in front of my house, which I think, I have a dog. My dog could jump over that 3 foot. And if a vicious dog passes my house and decides he doesn't like the looks of my little dog, he can jump over that 3-foot fence and hurt my dog. But do you consider any of that? None of you do. Not the zoning board. I am actually thinking of running for council and zoning because I feel like either you guys are out of touch and you don't get it. I drove all over Dumont. Now, I know you have nothing to do with Dumont, but they have everything we're asking for. If your house is here in the front, but your yard is here, they entitle you to a 6-foot fence for privacy. And their front fences are 4 feet. And I will tell you, we all know Dumont's a beautiful town. And my husband drove around town, and there are many people with 4-foot fences in front of their house. We asked him, we at least have 4 feet for them. No, Vince said he doesn't want to lose his license. I get it. But you are the people who have to make that feasible for lifelong residents. You can't make us feel unsafe in our own home. And you have to think, if something's up 21 years, why isn't a person grandfathered in? Even the fence guy was boggled. He's like, I'm only replacing what's there. But they're saying, oh, no, once it comes down. I said, so a drunk went through my fence, so that you're going to penalize me, right? Does that am I making sense here to you as humans? I respect every one of you. I appreciate everything you do. But are you getting what I'm saying, why I'm frustrated? That you made me go from 6 feet in my yard. Now, you're, like the mayor was explaining, like, let's say, I'm almost done, believe me, I know you all want to go home. Say my thing is here. They want me to take away half of my yard because they're saying that whole large, listen, I invite any of you to come into my yard to see what I'm talking about. Out of respect for me and my husband, I would love one of you to come into my yard and see what you're doing to us. That's what I would like you to see, because it isn't fair. They want me to put my fence way back, so I'm losing from here to here, my yard. And then I have less left in the back. So why would I want a fence in the middle of my yard? How are you saying this much of my yard is my front yard? It's mind-boggling to me. That's it. I guess I have nothing else to say. And I know right now I will get no results, so I never get results. But you have to hear this stuff. You have to know what your decisions are doing. And you have to say, if I want just a little fence, I shouldn't have to be extorted, discouraged, money, telling people. A fence is a fence. If you're talking about construction, like he goes, oh, everything's bottled into one thing. I said, well, that is not right. If I want a fence or a pool, I should be in a different category. It should be simple for me to go before the zoning board. Because the zoning board might have gave me that 6-foot fence.
You can go before the board.
I don't want to be extorted, discouraged, or whatever, and then there's a chance they'll say no. It's not easy, so don't say that word to me again. It is not easy. We were told, and Maureen said,
I said that's your recourse.
But that's my point. If it's not easy, how do you suggest that to somebody?
We have given you an abundance of
I agree.
But please, we don't ever want to see a resident feeling this way. But there are rules that we all follow. Everyone here does.
I understand that.
Wait,
I understand.
Hear me out, please. So this council is not here to make you feel threatened or you feel bad about your property. We're here to encourage you to go through the system, appeal to the zoning board in person, make your application, because it sounds like you're very passionate about it.
Oh, I am. I can see that. Parking on all the streets in Milford.
But let's stick to the fence, okay? So that's what I'm recommending to you.
We're not doing it.
And that's your choice.
Right, we're gonna settle for the 3-foot fence, but you just have to hear.
We are not.
What the situation is. Like, in other words, if you're talking about somebody on a side street, I get it.
Ma'am.
When you're talking about.
But the mayor and council don't make those decisions. It goes through the zoning board of
Well,
adjustment.
then, you wanna laugh? You know what the zoning board told me? It's up to you and the mayor and council. So you're blaming each other.
No.
So this is another game that I don't like to play.
No, the changing of the
It's not a
ordinance
game.
is a recommendation that comes from the zoning board. It can't happen without the mayor and council's approval. But the recommendation for changes to the ordinance come from the zoning board. The zoning board forwarded their recommendations. The planning board reviewed it. They agreed that it was consistent with the master plan, and they asked the mayor and council to look at it and decide upon it. And the mayor and council approved what was requested by the zoning board. Exactly.
Right, but I'm saying you have to, as the mayor and council, you're important people. You have to say, what is the difference between 3 or 4 feet? If people have animals, you have to have at least 4 feet to keep your animals in the yard. Am I right?
This type of discussion is not really appropriate for this meeting.
Well, I don't know where to go. I can't go before the zoning.
Yes,
What I'm saying,
you can.
I have to go to the mill. At least I just walked in the door and you guys spoke to me. All respect for that.
But they can't change it. If you want something to be changed, you have to go through the process.
Yeah.
And the process
Well,
is to go
we
before the
decided
board.
we're not doing that. When we found out what we had to do,
Well,
we are
your
private
choice.
people. We are not going to send letters to, what they have to do, like I said, is change how you go before the zoning board for small issues like a fence or a pool. You can't treat me like a building.
That's that way in that's that way by state law. That's not something that like the town does on its own.
Oh, thank you. I accept that explanation. I didn't know.
In every town in New Jersey, if you want to change something, I literally just went through to my town, and it was the most painful process. I grew up there. I know everybody on the board. Doesn't matter. I spent thousands of dollars. So I'm not I'm sympathetic to what you were saying.
Yeah.
The process is not an easy process. It's not, and there needs to be
Can't we change that?
We can't, because we're governed by state statutes that tell us how the zoning process has to work, and there's Supreme Court cases and lower court cases that say this is the methodology of how you have to do it. So the real problem is that, from what it sounds like, and again, I don't know your specific location, but it sounds like when this car hit the fence and the fence was destroyed, I remember you coming in before talking about that you may be in a site triangle area. That's what it sounds like to me. That's why they're telling you have to move it back, because that law did change, and now...
No, we're not. We're further from the street. Just to correct you, we're further...
Are you on a corner?
We're on a corner.
Yeah,
We're
you're on a corner
16 feet from the road. He said that's more than enough. The house that has the 6-foot fence...
Then why are you saying that it has to go back further, if it's already 6 feet
Because
back?
they're telling us if we want 6 feet...
That's a site...
You know what we're
ma'am,
doing, John?
yeah.
You're welcome to come to my house.
I may do that, but I may look at it.
You'll get the
Councilman
trick.
Zelda said he was gonna go by, he just said, but my point is...
I'll stop by tomorrow.
My point is the reason...
You're welcome to do that, absolutely.
The height issue is a site triangle issue, meaning like in the old, I'll say the old days, like 50 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago even, you could have higher fences because there weren't as many, whatever. It was a vehicle safety issue. It's with driving now, they want drivers to be able to see when they're on
Line of sight. Line of sight.
Come and look at my property. I said something that's been up 21 years that has not distracted traffic.
But even if you go there tomorrow, there's no recourse.
Or is anything obstructed?
I'm sorry?
There's
No,
nothing
you go.
obstructed. I've never had a complaint. I've never had a neighbor complain. I've never had a
What
traffic
Lynn
cop
says doesn't
complain.
necessarily mean
So
what
that's why I'm not, that's why my mind is going on that.
Ma'am,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, you're 5 minutes.
All right, I know, I went over 5 minutes. Thank you
And
so
we
much.
have a lot more to go. We're not going home.
Thank you guys for listening to me. I said, anybody wants to, come into my yard.
Sincerely,
That's all I
thank you
can
for
say.
coming.
Thank you very much for letting me in.
All right.
Have a great day,
Good
everybody.
night.
I just feel a little better now, even though I still have a 3-foot fence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
What one says is not what one sees, so I'm not saying I'm gonna change anything, I just want to observe what she's saying to me. I can't visualize what she's saying.
Okay.
I understand, but the only recourse is to go to the zoning board.
Probably.
She
No,
has a
that
remedy,
is.
and she
It's not
doesn't
probably,
like
it's
the remedy
definitely.
that she has.
Right.
That's definitely the only recourse. There's no other option.
I'm not going there to change anything.
Seeing as there are no more comments from the public, may I get a motion
Motion to
to,
close the public.
can I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next, let's vote on the resolutions.
Motion to approve the resolution.
It's the consent agenda from 121 through 133.
Right. We have a motion and a second.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, at this,
We're going to be going into close.
okay, thank you. We'll be going into closed session, and after our meeting, we will adjourn, and there will be no further action. So, may I get a motion to go into closed session?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
We win next door staying here.
I think we should go next.
joke.
I think we should go next door.
Thank you, everybody, and good night.